Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here on our Friday afternoon. And boy, oh boy, are we busy out there. So let's get right to it. This one might take a little while. Let's just go right off the top. Big picture that you're seeing right here. Fiona, major hurricane, now pulling away from the Turks and Caicos, headed towards Bermuda Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and then out towards Nova Scotia well after that, okay? Tropical Depression 8, that formed in the North Atlantic today. It's moving out to the northeast, fish storm. Don't worry about that one at all. Invest98L, that's the one you see off the northeast coast of South America. That's the one with an 80% chance of developing, and that's the one that the folks, especially in the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, need to be watching over the next week or so. So that's where we're at off the top. Let's talk about it all right now. First things first, let's talk with the big picture here, and you can see everything that's out there now. 80% chance, of course, for that development now, for that wave that's well down into the south. Let's just kind of go in order here. I want to start. Let's start with Fiona. Fiona is now, look at that eye. Look at that eye that's forming now as it moves out of the Turks and Caicos. Great news that it's moving away as it's intensifying. 115 mile per hour winds. That makes it a Cat 3. This happened at about 2 a.m. this morning, making Fiona the first major hurricane of the season. Major hurricanes or Cat 3s are higher. It's moving to the north-northwest at 9 miles per hour. That's not very fast, but that speed will pick up. And the pressure's down to 959. This thing's bottoming out. Look at that eye. This is high-resolution satellite imagery, and you can see just an incredible eye starting to form there. And a lot of convection now on the northwest side, right in here. You see all these cloud tops right in there? That hasn't been too much of the case because there's been some shear over here. But obviously that's lightening up, and that's going to allow this thing to continue to strengthen. So here's the forecast path. By late tomorrow night into Thursday morning, it's about 2 a.m. Thursday morning, 140 mile per hour winds. Bermuda, by the way, is about right there. All right, so the center technically will go, it looks like for the most part to the west. It could go jog right over it. The center can go anywhere in this cone, which is basically where Bermuda is on the right side. However, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be close enough that it does look like Bermuda is going to get brushed with a really good hurricane here. It's going to be tough to get out of it. Most of the weather's been off to the right. I think there'll be a little bit more shear on it, and there will be more weather to the right of the center, which is where Bermuda is anyway. So they need to watch it. And then Nova Scotia by the time we get towards Friday night. All right, so that is Fiona. Now, let's talk. Let's see, what do I got next up here? Let's talk. All right, let's go for it. Invest98L. This one is the one that is really getting interesting because, man, this thing is far to the south, right? I mean, it's way down there. And it looks like it's basically, I'm not going to say running into land, but it certainly is very close to land. You see Barbados, see how far to the south it is. If you look at the visible satellite, it's kind of tough to see a low-level center in here. It's not organized. It's just an invest at this point, right? Not even a depression at this point. But if you were to pick a center, you'd say it's somewhere in here, perhaps a new one out here. The forecast models say whatever's here starts to move to the northwest over the next 24 to 36 hours, and that would allow it to start to get a little bit better organized. We're running models on it. Here we go. Now, most of the modeling agrees with this northwest jog that you see down here and then coming up into the eastern and central Caribbean. Then it comes a little to the west. Then the models that say it's a stronger system turn it to the north and the west and bring it up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The models think it's a little bit weaker, go a little bit further to the west. The H-Wharf, the Canadians way out here. I mean, the time frame on anything in this area would be Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So we're about 7 to 9 days out, right? So you start really kind of sitting up and paying attention when you see this 7 to 9 days out. Here's the GFS ensemble models for Invest98L. It's a pretty good spread here, right? Some keep it weak. It's way over here. Some have it turning early. A lot are somewhere here in the middle, and so is Cuba, and so is Florida. So that's why we need to watch this one very closely. The European ensembles, I think I'll show you those coming up. They're a little bit to the left of the GFS, but not by much. Now, Tropical Depression 8. Let's talk about that. Then I'm going to go back to Invest98, and we'll take a look at the models. This is the one that's just way out here, big fish storm. No consequence other than shipping. And so we're not really concerned about this one at all. 35-mile-per-hour winds. It's forecast to get 40-mile-per-hour winds this afternoon. If that's the case, it'll get the name Gaston. And just going by the forecast here, that will happen before Invest98 can develop. So this will likely be Gaston. The next name on the list is Hermine. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, I think they said Hermione in that one, but it's pronounced Hermine. So this is the European model, the main run of the model, a week from tomorrow. And then, yeah, look at that. That's Thursday, a week and a day. Okay, just one run of the model. But it's been doing that. It's been doing that for some time. Here's the GFS model. This is the latest run of the GFS, and that's not pretty either. Okay, that's Thursday into Friday of next week. All right, so let me back up here. I want to go back and take a look at the satellite radar, the satellite picture of it. That is not it. That's 8. Let's come back here, and we'll get into satellite picture again. Oh, there it is. So that's Invest98L. So this thing is way far from here, okay? A lot can happen between now and then. I know, like, you know, the models have been showing this kind of stuff for 98L for a couple days now. So it's a little disturbing when you see it, right? But you got to think there's a lot that can happen from here all the way over to here, or to here, or to here, or even to here, okay? So that's kind of where we're at right now with that. Now let's start talking a little bit about the models here. I can see some of your questions here too. Building a long-term relationship. This is my dream. Okay, I want to build a long-term relationship. Yeah, I love social media. It's fantastic. All right, let's get to the models. Here are the models for. Let me make sure this looks good for Invest98. Okay, a lot of them obviously bringing it across here south of Hispaniola. Good news, it looks like it will stay south of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, which have been just hit hard by Fiona. So good news there. Then you see the curve happening here. Now those are the global models. This is another look at the GFS ensemble. As you can see the spread. Notice the darker colors here are these lines. That's a stronger system coming out through western Cuba, through the Yucatan Peninsula, through the channel there. And then this is the European ensemble, and this has a little bit weaker system, so it comes further to the west too. This would be a nice solution for the folks in Florida, right? So that's one thing you should get. Here's the GFS. Yeah, that's kind of all over the place. The European's a little bit further to the west, so nothing's set in stone here. And in fact, if you're looking at weather models and you see it kind of right over top of you now, it's 10 days out. It's kind of where you want it, because what are the odds that it's right 10 days out? Right, so a little funny to look at that, but that's kind of the way I look at it now. Intensity model forecast. This will likely change as well too, but you can see within 24 hours, the majority of them already have it as a tropical storm. So that would be tomorrow afternoon. You know, so we get a name again. Hermine's the next name on the list. Gaston should be gone, and so then you can see once we get up towards the end of the weekend, it starts pushing up and getting a little bit higher. Here is the European forecast model. There goes Fiona, right? See Fiona going up to the north. Watch down here. This is Friday morning. Let's go out to sunrise Friday morning and starting to get a closed low out here. All right, now let's go out to Saturday morning. Sunday morning, that's sunrise right there. Got a closed low down here, 1,003 millibars. South of Hispaniola, it's already past Puerto Rico. That's good. South of Cuba. Let's go out to Sunday. Let's go on Monday morning right here. That's sunrise right about there. There's Cuba. All right, there's the storm. Let's go out to Tuesday morning sunrise and Tuesday afternoon, western tip of Cuba. And then look at that turn to the north. That's Wednesday morning sunrise, Wednesday night, Thursday. That is ugly for Tampa. But again, that's 10 days out, 9 days out. So let's hope that that's not what happens. I didn't even show you the GFS, did I? Here's the GFS version. All right, let me go a little bit faster. Fiona going on out. Here it comes. The GFS develops this thing a little bit sooner with the closed low. Let's go out to Sunday afternoon, south of western Cuba. GFS, by the way, keeps it south of Hispaniola for the most part, in Dominican Republic. This is Tuesday morning sunrise, south of Cuba. Now, this one's very similar. The western tip of Cuba. That's a little bit, the timing's a little off there, but still the same track, western tip of Cuba. And then Thursday morning sunrise. So it's a little bit slower. It's got it out here. And then it takes the center, at least, up towards the Big Bend. But I'll tell you, that's a big storm surge issue for the Big Bend. That's even a storm surge issue for Tampa, if that were the case. All right, so that's the main run of the GFS. Here is the ensemble runs. You can see all these red L's down there. That's each one of these L's is one run of the model, thinking the low's here, the low's there. You can see how it's spread out pretty much. But you see, what gets me is that a lot of these, you see them kind of centered over here, but look at all these that are over to the right. I mean, it'd be nice if it could come up and out, but that just kind of opens the door more to come further north. I'd like to see a lot over here on the left side, on the west side, to make me feel better. European, what is European? There it is, European model. There goes Fiona, here it comes. Let me see if I got the latest. I can get the latest one out of here. Update that. Yeah, okay, here, so we got better data coming in. So there you go. The European's starting to gamble over here, and that's a good sign. But it's still got something up here, 962, 970s. It's a pretty decent one. It has a much weaker, all these numbers here are a lot weaker, these lows. A weaker system, remember, goes further to the west. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Stronger storms here, weaker systems here. We'll have to see what it looks like when it comes across here. Timing on seeing what it looks like when it comes across here. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday across the Caribbean. Okay? In fact, this right here is Saturday afternoon. Sunday night into Monday morning, right? So it's Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that we're watching it come across there. Tropical depression chances. This is from the European. Tropical depression chances from the GFS. Tropical storm, hurricane. And this is just a little bit further out in time. This is tropical storm chances. This is hurricane chances from the European model. See that? So that is that, guys. Now, we're in this phase. You see this green that's here? You don't want green here because green here will give us a better chance to make storms. This goes out through next couple days. This is out through the 25th of September. This is through the end of the month. Still green. This is out through the 5th of October. This is out through the 10th of October. So we're basically getting into this phase where it's been really quiet lately, but it may not be quiet. I mean, it's definitely not quiet now, and it may not quiet down a whole lot. Of course, things comes in waves, so it's not going to be a constant, but it's definitely something that we need to keep a closer eye on. So let's come back over here. Do we got any? Let me see if we got any questions, any legitimate questions. Oh yeah, Mary Ellen, I've talked about Fiona slamming Bermuda. Not sure why you're saying that, Mary Ellen. Must have joined late, but definitely talked about it. Yes. Yeah, there will be some time to restock. A very similar, Joe, a very similar route to Charlie. I don't even want to say that right now because I don't really want to be comparing it, because you say Charlie, people are like, oh, here comes a Charlie. We don't know. It's too far out in time now. But what you should do is make sure you have your hurricane kit ready to go, right? I mean, I kind of replenished mine today, just a couple things I had to add. But definitely that's something that you want to be able to have ready to go just in case, right? Local Club says Publix has been out of most water for a month now, and Walmart has also been short on water supplies. It's been hit or miss getting it. Robin, I went to Publix this afternoon, and there wasn't a whole lot of water on the shelves. You're absolutely right. Now remember, if you're getting ready for water now, your tap works, right? It's going to work right up until there's an issue. So you have water. You need containers to put water in, that type of thing. But going out and buying water is not necessarily a needed thing at this point, right? You want your kit ready to go. That's for sure. I said the Q word, Christine. I didn't say I said it has been quiet. I said it's not quiet now. Yeah, no, it definitely is not quiet now. Heading to the Keys next week. Bad idea. Susan, no, don't cancel plans right now, Susan, but definitely keep an eye on the weather. It depends on when you're going next week. If you're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably okay, but really not. I mean, Tuesday night you'd be leaving, if it were to come up towards us. So I'd keep an eye on this forecast. I'm not sure when you're planning on leaving to head down there, but that could be an issue then. Jesse, how you doing, man? Good to hear from you. Let's see what else we got here. Fill up your bathtub. Now, filling up the bathtub is not for drinking water. All right? That's for flushing the toilet. Like if you've got a water issue and you can't flush the toilet, you don't have any water coming into the house, now you've got water to pour into the toilet, go to the bathroom, and then that'll flush, right? That's what the bathtub water is for. That's not for drinking. And keep in mind, if you've got little kids around the house, a bathtub full of water is a dangerous thing for especially the real little ones. They can fall over head first, and that could be a disaster. So if you do fill up the bathtub with water, you want to keep that door shut to keep the kids out of that. Ruth says, what's up for New Jersey? Ruth, I don't know. We don't even know what's up for Florida, and I'm broadcasting from Tampa. It's just too far out. But if it were to come up the eastern Gulf of Mexico, it would likely come all the way up the coast. New Jersey would get something. It'd be a weaker system by that time it got up there. So a little bit of wind and rain wouldn't be terrible. Yeah. Robin says too far out. Absolutely. Who else we got on here? Water Weekly. Oh, somebody's saying by Water Weekly. Let me get this out of the way. Can you guys see that? There you go. Thomas. Yeah. Yeah, I know. James is talking about the GFS and the Euro model. That's what I said when I was showing you. And I'm like, man, that is that's not what you want to see, right? You see that and you're like, this is crazy. I don't want this. But yeah, so that's why I say, and we talk about it a lot here, even when we tell the people in the station, we're like, don't get too upset about this right now because a lot can change. And like I said, you kind of do want to see it over top of you at this particular time, just because the odds of it getting even closer, are still being in that location 10 days out, 9 days out. But look, by the time we get into Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon, we're 7-8 days out. So the bullseye that when we look at the model, and we're sitting here saying anywhere from about 7 to 9 days, these things can change in hours, right? Somebody brought up Charlie. Remember Charlie was going there? Nope, it turned. And that was hours, 6 hours, right? So forecasting where this thing is going to be this far out is just not what you want to do at this point. But you just need to be ready, and this is what we need to follow. We just follow these models and see what they look like, and just keep in mind this right here. You see the spread could be all over the place, and remember the European's a little bit further over here to the west too with its ensemble, so that's really good news. I get 5 half bottle water from the RO machines. There's plenty of water. Yeah, Euro model is it fairly accurate? Good question. Yeah. The European model, we're always talking about the GFS versus the European model. The European model does not have to spit out as many parameters on the back end of the model. So you've got a computer, and you need the fastest computers that you can get to run these models at a high resolution, right? So you can get like this town versus that town versus that town, and all these layers through the atmosphere, that resolution as well. And the GFS now, the American model, they've brought their computers up to speed. The Europeans always been kind of ahead a little bit on the computers. But at the end of the day, the European model does not have to kick out as many forecast parameters. So it only has to do so much versus the GFS has got to do a whole lot. That takes time. So if the GFS was just doing the same amount, it might be just as accurate. Sometimes it is. The GFS, I don't want to say it nailed Fiona, but is a whole lot better job with Fiona than the European model did. So yes, the European's a good model. We definitely put a lot of weight into it, but we don't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out which one it is. Let's come back over here. I'll show you this again. That's exactly right, Robin. I told you the other day. I said, don't watch the models. Listen to the humans talking about it, because you just can't look at one run or 3 runs and go, that's it. Pack it up. Right? Like I said, even Irma. I mean, think about Irma. Irma was supposed to go right up right up the west coast. It ended up turning and coming in over Markinville right up the center of the state, which was a huge difference for us here in Tampa. And that was less than 24 hours out that it made that turn. So definitely things can change quite a bit. Here's my best tip. Buy a battery-powered fan. Absolutely, Wendy. Great tips. Search our webpage. We've got a YouTube page with all kinds of hurricane tips on it. And we've done these cool videos, things you may not have thought of, and they're really easy to share with your friends and family. Post them on Facebook, that kind of thing, because really cool ideas and things that people could use. Non-perishable foods, that they plan on not having power if that were going to be the case. I say have your kit ready to go regardless, just because you never know. I mean, power goes out, you would need some of that stuff. But we don't know we need that yet. We just need to have it ready, right? Al, you're no problem, buddy. Thank you very much for watching. Joe says get a keg of beer. Joe, man, my days of hurricane parties are over. They'll return sometime, but yeah, that used to be fun. Although after a keg of beer the next day with no air conditioning, high humidity, and potential damage is not fun. So yeah. Let's see. Where is this heading? And you're looking at all the lines where each one of these lines is a different run of the GFS model. One run thinks it's over here. One run thinks it's up here. And there's a bunch in between. So it's all over. We don't really know right now. We do know that it's going to be coming across the Caribbean. We don't know if it's going to form. It's got an 80% chance. In fact, it's got a 60% chance that it does within the next 2 days. It's got an 80% chance that it does days 3, 4, and 5. So the Hurricane Center is pretty bullish on this thing developing at least. Hermine is the next name on the list. Hermine. It's not Hermione or whatever they say in the thing, but it is Hermine. There's actually a pronunciation guide from the Hurricane Center. So we do know what to say. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to get off of here. 4 o'clock. Don't forget, if you're watching on Facebook, my YouTube page, Bobby Deskins Weather. I put a lot of updates on there as well too. So go ahead and subscribe and like that over there. And if you got any questions or comments, I'll be watching that as well too. What day do we think it could impact us? Paul, it would be the middle of next week, maybe. Right? That's the timing now. And it's a big if. We just don't know. When Irma came, I jumped in the motorhome and camped at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It was fun. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Although the storm's coming up in that direction. It'll be weaker, but when Irma was coming up, it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's coming up right towards it. I wonder how you fared when that happened. But anything that's coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico and the northeast Gulf of Mexico is usually going to the northeast. No problem, guys. Have a good one. I will see you at 5 o'clock on 10 Tampa Bay. And then if anything develops tonight, I'll update you. Probably won't do another tropical update until tomorrow afternoon, since we're just kind of waiting to watch and see what this thing wants to do. Let's hope it doesn't do anything. It's far to the south. I mean, it's way down here. It's got to come northwest and kind of form. Again, it's probably going to be at least 24 to 48 hours before it really starts to do anything like that. All right, guys, that's it. I've said goodbye 3 times this time.